What is Commonwealth? We have already mentioned that what is Commonwealth, and you have seen that it is nothing else actually. Just you have to see the, if you look the slide, you will see. Commonwealth means British nation. I mean support is political communities. I mean support is still now those countries which are closely connected with the British political arena after leaving some other countries. Okay, I mean once upon they were conquered. Some other countries conquered by Britain. Now they are independent, but they have the link under the organization that is called the Commonwealth. And the Commonwealth is an intergovernmental organization 54 which were formerly part of British Empire. So you have seen that how many countries, how many nations are involved in the Commonwealth. There are 54. Remember that 53 were under ruled by the British, okay, and 54 why? Because Britain is there. And still now the concept of Commonwealth is telling that formerly part of British Empire. Still now, who is the chief? The British Emperor or the king or queen. Next word, what is Commonwealth literature? So the term has been generally used to refer to the literature of colonies, former colonies and dependents of British, excluding the literature of England. Excluding. So I raise a question whether the British literature should be treated as a Commonwealth literature or not. It is answering that. No. You cannot tell that what British literature is not called of what? Commonwealth literature. Excluding British literature, the other countries, Australian, Canadian, or you can Nigerian, Bangladeshi, Indian, Pakistan, these literature should be considered as a Commonwealth literature. But there is another thing is remarkable. That should be what? A Bangladeshi novel can be considered, the writer can be considered as a Commonwealth literature in that time whenever he or she writes it in English. If he or she writes in Bangla or Hindi or Urdu, it should not be treated as a Commonwealth literature. For example, Kazi Nazrul, Jashim Uddin, or we can say Rafiq, they are not the Commonwealth literature because they wrote everything in Bangla. Whereas Tahmina Anam, the daughter of Mahfuz Anam, she has written everything in what? In English. Niyaz Jaman, Kaisar Haq, they have been writing everything in English, so they are considered as a Commonwealth writer. Salman Rushdie, he is an Indian, you know it very well, but he writes everything in English. That's why he is considered as a Commonwealth writer. Okay, so their literature is considered as a what? The Commonwealth literature. Then of what? The rise of the study national literatures, writing in English, and begins with the study of what? American literature. And we are not considering the American literature just nowadays. Here the things is clear to us in English. I mean, so what? You must be the former colonial countries member. At the same time, your language must be English. Chinua Achebe, he has written things for leopard in English, not in his own language. That's why he is considered, or his literature is considered a part of the Commonwealth literature. But those literature that come to be collectively studied, okay? Anyway, so there are some notions. There are some notions of the Commonwealth literature. You have seen that the 3 or 4 colors are given there. English literature. What does it mean? There at the center. What is that? English literature. This is not the part of what? Commonwealth literature. Which is the Commonwealth literature? You have seen that. Why it is the Commonwealth literature? Because center is what? English literature. I mean the Britain. Still now. Okay, they conquered. They rules the Commonwealth countries. They have to connect, and they are the superior. Each and every one, and this one. And this is not considered as a Commonwealth literature. I have already mentioned that. Why? You have seen that these are what? The language is English. Here the language is of what? Bengali. That's why, though it is of what? Commonwealth countries. Member of the Commonwealth countries, but it is because of the language difference, it is not a Commonwealth literature. So I think it is clear. Commonwealth is clear. Commonwealth literature is clear to you. This is the same thing actually. Then some famous Commonwealth writers. He is one of them, Chinua Achebe. the famous name among Chino SAB. He was born November 16, 1930, and he died only 4 years back, March 21st, 2013. This is his original picture. Can I go the next one? I think he is very familiar to you. Salman Rushdie. He was born June 19, 1947. Can anyone mention why 1947 is very remarkable or the mentionable historical age to us? Yes, what does it mean? We can say that British left undivided India, and undivided India became two parts. One is called what? Pakistan, another is called India. Okay. In that time he was born in India actually. Now he is living in UK. At the same time, I would like to ask you one question. Say, can anyone mention his one or two very much familiar works or tasks? Novel? Can anyone mention? Why he is very much controversial? Why he is forbidden to come visit any Muslim countries? Can anyone mention that? Salman Rushdie. He is very much controversial all over the world, still now, and he cannot visit any Muslim country.
It is a recently he was there.
Not recently, still now he is doing the same task. I think you know the name of the text, Satanic Verses. Salman Rushdie written the Satanic Verses, and you know that. He changes the concept of Holy Quran. That's why he is forbidden each and everywhere. Okay. At the same time, his another greatest novel's name is Midsummer Night. Midsummer Night. It is one of the best novel of the world. Anyway, you have seen that Orun Kolachkar was born in 1st November 1932 and died in 2004 September 25, and he is an Indian original, but he lived in the West Indies. R.K. Narayan, we have already mentioned that, and he was born in 1906 October 10 and died 2001 May 13. Then what? Kazu Ishiguro. Have you heard the name of Kazu Ishiguro? No? None of you. Don't you think that it's our shame? Manu, what do you think? It is not mandatory to go through any but my question is that as a students of English literature, if you claim that, sir, I don't know who is Kazu Ishiguro, that is our shame. For what reason? Why I mentioned that? Why it's our shame? Why is how you can think that? Why you are thinking that he is a modern legend? Contributed a lot in which way? He got the Nobel Prize in 2017. He got only 2 months ago Nobel Prize in literature. So it's a burning question to us. Only 2 months back, he received the Nobel Prize in literature. His face is telling that he is not an English people, he is a Japanese people, but he lived in England, UK. As English literature, students of English literature, you must know. Then what? Nayantara Shangal. She is an Indian. Anyway, so again, we are going to discuss what Commonwealth literature is. Actually, the term has been generally used to refer, we may have already mentioned, yes, former what? Colonies and what? Dependencies of British, excluding literature, the England, we have already mentioned that, and commas there. What? Commonwealth literature does not exist of what? Commonwealth literature shows that the nationality. What does it mean by nationality? Whenever we read Rabindranath Tagore, whenever we read Shakespeare, whenever we read John Donne or Wordsworth, we have seen that nationalism is discussed very much. What does it mean by nationality? We are telling that our nationality is Bangladeshi, okay? But what does it mean by Bangladeshi? Why we are telling that we are the Bangladeshi? As we born in Bangladesh, only for that reason? Or something else? What is the significance of the word of nationality? Anything else? Edward W. Said. He was born in Israel. He lived in USA. He died in USA. But he always claimed that until his death, he claimed that his nationality is Arab, the Philistine. He was born in Israel, he lived in USA, but he claimed that he is not an American, not an Israeli, but he is an Philistine. What does it mean? His nationality is there. Why? He spoke all the time in English. He never spoke in Arab or the Israeli language, though he knew. It's a very complex question, yeah? মাথায় এগুলো কাজ করে না, কখনো চিন্তা করি না। You must think it. আসবো আমরা। এটা ভাবেন, বিষয়টা আমি টার্মটা দিয়ে দিলাম। এই যে একজন ব্যক্তি বললেন, Edward W. Said, Edward Said is that person who changed the world's intellectual levels. After publishing his books, Orientalism in 1974, later in 1978, he published another book that name is Cultural Imperialism, and until his death, he has published 33 books. Okay. And before publishing his book, the term postcolonialism was not studied at all academically. But after publishing this book, the people started reading what postcolonialism is. So that's why he is very much remarkable all over the world. Rushdie presented the Commonwealth literature category as created by what? Goethe, those how practices English literature proper. What does it mean by that? Why Rushdie's name is mentioned here? Only to make you understand that. I mean, so what? The person who was not born in Britain, whose nationality is different, but they are practicing the English literature or the literature in English. That they are considered as the what? Commonwealth writer. Then, what is life like inside the gateway of the Commonwealth literature? It's a question. What type of the nature? Obviously, you have seen that in English literature, we frequently were mentioning English literature as well as the American literature. But both are written in in English. But you have seen that the nature, the structure, the theme, the presentation of these two literatures are not the same. They are the different. Similarly, English literature and Commonwealth literature, both are written in English, but the subject matter, the theme, the aim of the literatures are completely different. Because the British literature always tried to present their superiority over the other, whereas Commonwealth literature try to protest their superiority, and they try to highlight their own literature. That's why they are called the nationality. Okay. And whenever you read Nozrul's poems or novels or short stories, you have seen that he always highlights his own culture, his own poems. Even if you go through the Farooq Ahmed's poems, you see that always he is trying to highlight his own religion. What does it mean that? He protests against the intruders or the colonial rule. Then diaspora. The term you must know. The Commonwealth people or the Commonwealth literature is called also the diaspora. Tahmina, Ana, her literature is called a Bangladeshi diaspora. Kaisar Haq, his literacy is also called the Bangladeshi diaspora. Remember that Kaisar Haq is not very much unknown to us, but he is not unknown to the outside of the country. Why not? Because you will be surprised that 30 years back, his many poems were given chance were in the Northern Anthology. And you know that the Northern Anthology is a collection of the poems or the stories or the theories only for which can be get the chance were the best one as well.